Fairyland Online. This game isn't actually dead, but no new content has been made and new account creation have been disabled since May 4th of 2018. So this game is basically in life support mode, and as long as no new people can join and no new content is made, then the game will never grow when we eventually die, therefore pretty much dead. You may never have heard of this MMO, and maybe for good reason. This is an obscure, turn-based MMO from Taiwan. While turn-based MMOs are widely unheard of in the West, it was actually fairly common in Asia. It featured an isometric view of a cutesy fairy tale filled world with adorable monsters that you can capture and tame. And that is the main appeal of the game, the Pokemon-like monster collection. Although they did pull a lazy thing by making a different elemental version of every type of monster, but they are different enough that they have own skills and uses, just recolored and named. But before we get too much into detail of the game, we need to know when it started. Fairy Tail Online was launched in 2007 by Lager Network Technologies Incorporated. It is a Taiwan-based company and, from what I know, focuses mainly on MMOs. This was their first game that launched overseas in the rest of the world, and to this date, their only game. They also do publishing though. They are the main publishers of Arcade in Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Macau. So they're still alive, but they're not making more games. There was a sequel that was made later on, called Fairyland 2, that featured upgraded graphics and, well, a whole new way to play the game. It didn't appeal to anyone and mainly a large flop, and never really left beta. That one was shut down on August 19th, 2013. But while the sequel died, the original lived on with a fairly small but loyal player base. How loyal? Well, they're still playing this game 12 years after launch. When you start the game, you'll make a new character with a choice of 3 different races: humans, elves, and dwarves, as well as your gender. You may be asking, oh, why are you pointing this out? Every game does this, who cares? Yes, but your race and your gender will determine your stats. Humans have a more balanced stat distribution. Elves focus mainly on intelligence and charm. Dwarves, on the other hand, focus on strength and constitution. Now you may be thinking, well, I guess caster would just pick elves and fighters pick dwarves. Not really. The stats are minor enough that it doesn't really affect you, but it's there to piss off the min-maxer who wants to maximize everything. And just to extra screw you to them, your stat growth is randomized. Yeah, for example, your maximum health growth is determined by how much constitution you have when you level. Therefore, it's something you want early, but not worry about later on. How much this is true, I'm not 100% sure, as I played early on and my major focus mostly on con. What this means is, if you're terribly unlucky, and your friend is extremely lucky, despite all the points you pump into your class, you may be weaker than your friend who did nothing. Isn't that a shame? The game has 9 different classes. Or if you're playing early on in the North American version, there was an extra 10th class, the Priest, which was probably removed from the other regions because how stupidly broken they were. They had the ability to permanently disable an entire army by themselves, as long as you're fast enough. The game has its physical classes in the soldier jobs, the magical classes in the diviner jobs. However, there was another group called the journeyman classes, which focuses mainly on utility. This includes the Beastmaster, which is the most mandatory in the class in the game, but the class that no one wants to play because how ridiculously boring and hard it was to level. It's the only class with a reasonable chance to capture monsters with your Pokeball. Wait, my mistake. Capsules that look strangely like Pokeballs. Beastmasters have a skill that raises their chance from literally winning the lottery to a fair chance of capturing something. But luckily for you, there are masochists out there who has leveled up their Beastmaster to high enough levels and are willing to capture you monsters in exchange for a capsule and some amounts of money. Now we get to the most complex part of the game. Monsters can be traded. They can also be reset to level 1 for min-maxing purposes. Because wild monsters have a random balanced stat growth, and raised monsters will focus mainly on 1 or 2 stats. For example, the dark element focuses mainly on intelligence, while the water focuses on dexterity. and the light element, the only element that is balanced growth. You're probably going, why the heck when I want a pet that's all I think of stat? Well, because pets are used more than just a combat partner. You can have 5 pets with you at a time. Well, you can have more with you, but for the regular people, 5 pets is more than enough. You have one as a combat pet, and the other merged into your gear slots. For example, a dark element sheep monster can be merged into your magic slot if you're a mage, and all the intelligence from that monster will go on to you. Well, a portion of it. Or you can merge a fire monster, which is strength growth, onto your weapon to boost the strength. So capturing a higher level monster you want to bring around as a combat pet, if it's not light element, then chances are you probably don't want to reset it, as it will most likely be a detriment. But of course, pets are more than just slots for equip. There's intimacy you have to worry about, hunger, morale, and a whole bunch of other stuff. There's also the monster fusion that was way after my time, I don't know much about it, other than mixing 2 monsters into one, which gives it dual elements and stat growth, such as a metal and wind element monster. But we've been talking too much about mechanics and not more of the game. The storyline is mostly just fairy tales, like Grimm Brother fairy tales, the ones people know, Cinderella, Matchstick Girl, Red Riding Hood. These are the story people are familiar with, but they have their own twists to the story, and they shove your characters into it, and so on. Gameplay is about traveling around the world, and while walking around, you will get a random encounter just like a JRPG, and then get plopped into a turn-based battle. Everyone must act within a time period. The game determines the orders of the attackers based on dexterity, which means even if you outspeed them greatly, you cannot move more than once per turn. So the general strategy is, unless you're planning on blowing everything up on the first turn, just focus on damage and defense. Like for example, there are 2 builds of mages when I played. The dex focus, where you want to act first. You want to blow up everything at the start, or at least hurt everything in an AoE and have your monster buddy there to finish everything off. Then there's the pure int focus, where you are probably the last to move. But when you move, you drop hell on everything. Combat and PvP works the same way. Support classes generally want to be fast, while some melee classes like the Swordman wants to be fast and delete one target right off the bat, like that pesky mage casting this spell with full int right there. There was actually a lot of people playing PvP in this game. There are even 1v1 or team-based PvP with up to 5 people per team. Even a giant guild versus guild PvP that I never really got into. And that's it. An obscure turn-based MMO. And while turn-based MMOs are not popular, probably will never be popular. Especially with the modernization of all MMO based on World of Warcraft's success. Every game nowadays is a theme park MMO with quest hubs and tab targets. Although some games try to mix up the combat, the formula is basically exactly the same. There just isn't a demand for a min-maxing turn-based MMO based around an extensive pet system. While there's a small niche audience still playing the game, it's only a matter of time before Fairyland Online meets the same fate as the sequel. I just wanted to talk about this game because I really enjoy the pet system. Oh, and the turn-based combat, I guess. While simple looking, the game itself was pretty complex, although it is a min-maxer's nightmare.